Yes, welcome back. This is the final day. It is the Super Sunday on this Easter Sunday, and of course the Safari Rally happening in Naivasha. 3 stages today, and drivers are just having their eyes fixed on that particular prize. Khalid of Ampera, of course, not in the clear, as Anwar tells me, but anything can happen on this final day. Yes, Azar, what's the strategy for the drivers today now?
It's very interesting at this stage of the event because the top drivers are all competing like for the World Rally Championship. And World Rally Championship is how many points you can go away with from each event. So some top drivers have had problems, serious problems. They're way behind. They have not amassed very many points. So they will be looking very carefully at the power stage. And they will be preparing themselves to actually attack to the maximum on that stage, because they've already kind of lost their position, so that they can go away with more championship points from here. So because the power stage has its own championship points, giving a chance for drivers like that to still remain in the fight for the overall title, even if they've not done well in this particular rally. So that's what the power stage is all about. Yeah.
Yes, and of course drivers, let's pick about other drivers who are pushing today, right? What do you think they are thinking about, the likes of Gregoire Monster as well as the Oitanax?
They will have, in my opinion, they will really be focused on the last stage, the power stage, because of the extra points they can get. So by focused, I mean not only the driving, but they will also be taking risks with the car, the way they set up the car to get that little bit more speed. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Let's now link up with Daniel Wahome, who is in Naivasha, and he's talking to a number of drivers.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the WRTI service park in Naivasha, and it's all about the final day of the WRC Safari Rally. I'll be giving you a breakdown of how things are for the main class. We're talking about Super Sunday, so I'll be giving you that. But we've got Oliver Solberg. Oliver, let's talk about the morning stages, Malewa, Osirian, and Hell's Gate. The rains change everything, especially at Osirian where there's too much grass. Just take us through the morning.
No, for sure, it's been a tricky morning. You know, even if it's a short day, it's been tricky with a lot of different conditions. But so far so good. It was clean enough, and it's okay.
Well, you're going for currently lying second in the WRC2. What's the plan for the afternoon as you try rank up your championship points?
No, it's to keep the second place, and then you know everything can happen in front, of course. But yeah, just try to keep that second place safe.
All right, thank you, and all the best in the afternoon. Oliver Solberg, he's lying second in the WRC2 class behind Gus Greensmith. But just a wrap of how things have been. Drama for Thierry Henry breaking his rear right wishbone, and that has changed everything for him. He lost about 10 seconds, and that means when it comes to Super Sunday, he has dropped to 6th and 7th, which means that he's in contention for only 1 point. That we haven't even started counting the power stage points. But overall, this is how they lie. Top place, Kale Rovanpera is in first place, already 3 hours, 12 minutes, 39.6 seconds, the cumulative time. And second place, Takamoto Katsuta of Toyota is in second place. Third place, Adrian Foreman driving for Ford. Then we've got Alvin Evans, the Welshman, he is lying fourth. Thierry Neuville, 5th overall. 6th is Gus Greensmith, who's driving a Skoda in the WRC2. He's a WRC2 leader at the moment. And then we've got Oliver Solberg, Oitanak, who's back on Super Rally regulations. He is lying 8th overall. And you've got Kajtan Kajtanovic, is leading the WRC Challenger class, but 3rd overall in WRC2. And to finish 10th place is Jordan Chabdoridis. He is over there. But this is Super Sunday. Why is it called Super Sunday? Because there are points available depending on where you finish. And after the morning look, this is where they lie. Top of Super Sunday is Alvin Evans. Remember, the Super Sunday points he collected at Sweden meant that he got the most points, yet he was not the rally winner. He was on a different step on the podium. So 5:29.3 is his cumulative time for Sunday. Second place for Sunday is Oitanak, he's driving for Hyundai. Third place, Takamoto Katsuta driving for Toyota. Adrian Formore is fourth. Fifth is Kale Rovanpera. Gregor Munster, who's making his debut for a full season for M Sport Ford in the Rally 1 class, is lying sixth overall, and seventh is Thierry Neuville. And 2 seconds behind Neuville is Esape Kalapi. So those are the ones who are in contention for the points on Super Sunday. So how does it work? You finish first, you get 7. Second, you get 6. Third, you get 5. Fourth, you get 4. Fifth, you get 3. Sixth, you get 2. Seventh, you get 1. Now that's just on classification. Then there are the Wolf Power Stage points. First, you get 5. Second, you get 4. Third, you get 3. Fourth, you get 2. And fifth, you get 1 point. So if you finish top of Super, you're the best performer on the road on Sunday in terms of cumulative time spent over the 74 kilometers. You've got 7, and if you do win the power stage inclusive, you get another 5 points. So there are 12 points for doing that. And guess what? Under the old system, that's equivalent of finishing about 4th or 5th. So that's how Super Sunday works. That's why the drivers will be pushing a lot this afternoon as they try to gather all of those points. So there's still another 37 kilometers of competitive stages coming through. At the moment, they're only going through a 15-minute service, so quick work has to be done. But let's see how this happens. And remember, when's the last time a manufacturer won 4 in a row in the WRC here in Kenya? Would we be talking about 1982 when the late Sheikha Mehta and Mike Doughty did it for Nissan? We shall be finding out this afternoon and see if Toyota can do 4 in a row since the return of the WRC Safari Rally. And remember, 2 p.m. we're going to be taking the Wolf Power Stage. That is Hell's Gate 2. It's going to be live on KBC Channel 1. And also, we've got our team at Hell's Gate. We're also going to be doing the ceremonial finish. That's from around 3:45 p.m. My name is Daniel Mohammed, the WRTI Service Park. Back to you in Broadcasting House.
Thank you so much, Daniel Ahome, speaking from the service park in Naivasha. Of course, we also have our team south of Lake Naivasha, that's at the Hell's Gate. They'll be giving us the updates as the rally unfolds on this specific day, final day of the 2024 WRC Safari Rally. And as Anwar, you won it in 1995 in Adaiwo. Toyota could be winning it for the 4th consecutive time, yes?
Yeah. As we just heard, it's very interesting, the Sunday points that are available.
Yes.
It gives opportunity to the people who have been unfortunate in the last 2 days, the top drivers, to strategize and try and to win back some of those points and defend their fight for the World Championship. So there's a lot of thinking and strategy going on amongst those top drivers and teams right now.
Yeah, of course, fighting for the points. So what they need is just finishing amongst those the probable impressive positions, right?
Yeah, it's we've just heard that there are two lots of points available today. One is the Super Sunday, which is for the people who do well today, meaning for today's day on all the stages. So that's 5 points. And then 7 points for the Wolf stage, the final stage, or is it the other way around? Something like that. So a total of 12 points are available. But it's unlikely that one person will win all those 12 points. But then it goes down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and from 7 all the way down to 1. So anybody performing even, in the upper regions today, in the top like 5 places and so on, stands to gain a number of World Championship points. And that means that somebody cannot ease off and just take things too easy, because they'll be throwing away a number of points. So it will be very interesting to see now the last 3 stages how hard the top drivers attack.
Yes, and maybe what could be their approach now in the last 3 stages?
Exactly that. I suspect that the people who've had trouble will really go hard to try and get those points. And we have seen, I think, top times from Tanak and Newville
Yes.
already today. So they are after those points. It's obvious.
Yes, yes, indeed. And of course, they're also looking at how that will help them at the top of the general overall standings of the WRC.
And at the same time, you can see the leader of the rally is taking it easy today because his focus is on winning the safari.
Yes.
Yes, which is also something very great, despite the World Championship points.
Yes.
So I think it looks so far like he's sacrificing the points and saying, as long as I win the safari, that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling when you won it 95. How would you equate it to?
It was great then even, yeah, 95 then. 95 was actually an off year. What happened was there was a rotation system where all the teams could come and take part, the four-wheel drive turbo, the top cars and all that. But the event counted only for something called 2-liter World Cup points by the FIA. So driving a Daewoo, the only car in that category that managed to get to the finish, I was technically the winner of the safari, although overall I was 17th. Overall. So it was a very big thing for Daewoo because it was the first time in the world that a Daewoo had done an FIA World Championship event. And for us to win was unbelievable. Yeah. Then same thing in 2006 when I won the Kenya Championship. Again, it was a points thing. What happened is I was telling my competitors, I didn't win, you guys lost, because I actually even missed a round of the championship. I didn't have the budget to be very competitive and so on, but I played a steady game, just collecting points, and they were trying to go flat out and having problems. So at the end of the year, I had more points. So it was a great feeling to win again.
And indeed, let's and talking about just running tactical races, we've seen maybe Kali stage that. We've seen him exhibit that in the past 2 days, and today he's out to get points.
He's able to cruise, let's say, although it's not easy. You heard him saying, and it was the same for me when I was competing. When you start taking it careful, it actually becomes more difficult to drive because mentally you're like focused on just going, and hoping not to get into trouble. When you're trying to be cautious, you sometimes make more mistakes. But interestingly, Adrian Fourmont has taken the right approach for the safari from the beginning till now, and it is paying off. He's on the podium. He's not going at the pace that of the top guys, but because of his approach that he wants to avoid problems. So he's going as fast as he can, but trying to be very careful not to get into trouble. And now, near the end of the rally, he's on the podium. Yeah,
and also Esape Kalapi really he's been having a good season in the opening 2 legs in Monte Carlo and Sweden. He had a first podium place in 5 years. But at the rally, how would you say about his performance?
It's the safari is an event that you can do all the planning, all the preparation. The car can be perfect and whatever, but things can go wrong. Just like that, and unfortunately, he has been caught out. They're all very, very good drivers. Those top first category drivers, the ones in the Rally 1 cars, they are just amazing.
I mean, and also, when you won it in 95, Daewoo had to go on a world exhibition tour for them to just,
First, they couldn't believe that we had won. They actually asked us, send us the certificate. You don't get a certificate for winning, you get a trophy.
They wanted the picture, the podium picture. Yes.
So we had to go to Safari headquarters and say, can you make us a certificate? They were not believing that we won the Safari. So we sent that. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning to Daewoo, and they were like, what? We won that car.
Yeah.
Back here. They then rushed out more media teams, so we went out on the route again, pretending we're in the rally, and they took films, videos, and what, sent them to I think it was over 100 countries around the world. They promoted their car. The next year's brochure had our rally car on the center page, 2 pages in the brochures for Daewoo. And then they took the car Efrete to Seoul International Motor Show, invited us, red carpet treatment in Korea. Then the car for 9 months was traveling the world. London Motor Show, this Motor Show, China, here, there, just on display, still in the safari colors, the safari number, and safari mud on it. They don't even wash it, send it to us like that.
It must have been in a museum right now. Do you think so?
Yeah, that car had a bad thing after that, because the local team gave it to one of the youngsters to rally with. For the next year, and he made a karai of that car. I really felt bad. That car should have been in a museum.
Yeah, should have been in a museum somewhere being exhibited. And now, right now, of course, you also still, helping bring up more youngsters.
Of course, that has been my passion for, I would say, more than 35 years, because I just kept feeling, why is it only the top winner always is being lauded? What about the rest of the 40-50 people who enter in rallies? So I started encouraging people to consider the beginners and their weaker cars. For example, I initiated a two-wheel drive championship in 1995. It didn't exist, and with encouragement, within a few years there were more than 20 participants in two-wheel drive. It was a very hotly contested championship, but down the field. Then we introduced a few years later driver divisions, and again we made them championships. And that also encouraged a lot of more people to participate, till we were having in Safari Rally, we had 87 entries local, and 83 in Guru Nanak Rally one of the years. I think it was 2012. So that was like the highlight of our motorsport, because of trying to recognize the other competitors and giving them an opportunity to compete for something at their level. You can't really expect like a Kenyan with our small budget and our less cars to compete against the P1 cars.
Yes.
It's like we have to build up to that.
And of course, and all that points to the importance of having more numbers, more participants at every level.
The more numbers you have at grassroots, it's a pyramid. P1 is the peak. The more grassroots we build, it will build up the next stage, which is of a national championships, yes, and then it will build us into the regional. We could be Africa champions, and then automatically that will push our top drivers up higher level. They can get nearer to world class. Yeah, at the moment we are far.
Yes, and of course, maybe with the ability of, ingenuity of Kenyans like you drove in with the Yaris. Tell us about how that can be possible for Kenyan drivers to.
It's part of my dream to make motorsport very big in Kenya, and I do believe it's very, very possible. We have to really concentrate on the grassroots all across the country. So. Mostly the people here are racing with outdated cars. We're talking of even the top cars local drivers have, privateers, is like the Evo 10 is 12 to 14 years old. It's outdated. You can't get spares for it and so on. So the Toyota Yaris GR4 is the latest, I would call it a rally weapon, produced by Toyota, but it's produced as a normal car. So we have to modify it to the safety standards to be able to compete in rallying, and that's what this project is. I'm showcasing it to Kenya that we can do it locally. We can get the latest car, we can build it locally, we can make it more affordable, we can train Kenyans to be able to maintain it well, so that we even bring up our technical standard up closer to world level. Yeah, that's what the project of the Yaris is all about. This car is the first one to land in Africa, the first one to be prepared in Africa. It ran as the safety zero car in the 2022 Safari, so Toyota are very happy about that. Now it is to make many of them and to train Kenyans, so that we can build up our local motorsport scene. So it's part of this grassroots to build up.
And so far, we've had Kenyans interested, and maybe you can predict on the possibility of being in a Safari in the next 5, 6 or 2 years?
No, next year. Why not next year? I mean, the car is ready. It's not only ready, it's the first car that Kenya has homologated. So it has national homologation. So it can take part in the WRC, but not score points because it's a national car. So if we could build one and it can take part, then why not build 10 similar cars? We have a lot of space, we have people trained to look after them, and it'll be easier to manage when there are 10 cars, you know, built identical. And that is how, by the way, internationally, World Rally champions in the past came up from these sort of series, meaning similar low-budget cars, like it used to be called the Peugeot Challenge. Richard Burns, Colin McRae, they were discovered in that Peugeot Challenge, which are standard small Peugeot 205s were running in the British Rally Championship, and youngsters were being given a chance to drive them, and these two boys were so good, people picked them up from there and then built them up over the next few years till they became world champions. So we need to do the similar thing here. We need this fleet of equal cars and give opportunities to enthusiasts to get a chance to compete with them. And from there, we can see who are the better ones, because the vehicles are equal. So it will now really come down to strategy, driving, and all that kind of thing to be a champion.
Yes, indeed. And of course, let's engage more on the other category apart from the P1, the WRC2, who's Gus Greensmith really holding on to that lead, and he's edging closer to the Safari Rally title. Yes.
Very impressive, very impressive. He got a chance to drive last year and the year before in P1. Which didn't turn out good for him, so he went back to P2, and he's showing his ability. Even Adrian Formo is originally from that sort of background. So it shows that, you know, once you get up to there and you have the right approach, the chances of doing well in international WRC are there. So for our drivers who are already in WRC2, and I think they're able to, with opportunity, more events and more exposure internationally, especially the younger ones, they could actually push up to the top of WRC2 and then get an opportunity in P1.
Yes, yeah. And of course a number of Kenyans in the mix for the WRC2, the African champion Karan Patel, as well as five-time winner Carl Tundo in the mix. What their chances? I mean, we know it's the final day.
I think next year gives much more opportunity, because the FIA has announced that number one, the hybrid is out. Number two, they are trying to reduce the cost of the P1 cars. They've set a limit at €400,000. The idea being that there should be more cars, plus they've also asked the teams to detune the cars to make them more affordable. Yeah. So at the same time, what they've done is they've created like a super WRC2 category, meaning the top super WRC2 cars are going to be allowed to have more performance next year. So the gap between P1 and P2 will close very much. Now P2 are many already. It's not just 3 manufacturers like in P1. WRC2, there are, I believe, 7 or 8 different manufacturers who have cars already. So it means all those manufacturers will now start taking an interest in the overall World Championship, because when the gap is smaller, some events might be won by the Rally 2 cars. And we are already in Rally 2 here. So you see, that might help us to get closer and have more opportunity to get into the top world level.
And when FI, with the announcement that they might not be having the end of the hybrid cars, what advantage does that play?
You know, it's like technology, what is available. So they tried, because everybody in the world in the last few years has been pushing very hard for electric as an environmental saving concern. And over the years, people are realizing that it is not the best solution. Manufacturers, especially like Toyota, are proposing hydrogen instead of electric. And they've even rallied with hydrogen cars to prove that it's a viable vehicle, reliability-wise and safety-wise. So that is probably the reason that FIA are dropping the hybrid. Because the push was for it to go electric and to go wholly electric.
Yes.
Now it means that next year it will still be internal combustion engines. They say ICE, internal combustion engine. So all the cars are still going to be a bit like the old school. Yeah. And then by bringing down the performance of the Rally 1 and bringing up the top Rally 2 cars, closer, you have now more international interest, because more manufacturers have a possibility to do well and to get recognition at the top. But on the side, it gives people like us an opportunity to get in as well, because we're already in Rally 2.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And let's go back to Adrian Foreman, how they did come up. We see that they were picked from, rally, kind of an initiative that's run by the French government to bring up.
French Federation something. Yeah, they have very, very potent, well-organized training camps and schools for promising young drivers in Europe, in all the countries.
Yes.
We've just launched ours here on Wednesday.
On Friday, yes.
I hope it will be as good. Promising youngsters from small races around the country, that's the grassroots, what we call, need to be picked and then given opportunity to compete on equal level. What's very important is they must compete on equal level. When somebody is very rich and they can get a superior car, that doesn't prove much.
Yes.
Yeah? Because are they winning on their ability or are they winning on their money? Yeah. But if you give like 10 youngsters the same car and the same backup and say, okay, prove yourself now, then you will start getting real people who think and can drive and can, avoid trouble. Because now the attitude is just furuga. Break the car, doesn't matter. You have the money to fix it. But if that is limited, and even the amount of damage that you do is part of the equation of doing well. Because you cannot be a winner if you're always breaking your car. Calais has managed to keep his car together. That's why he's leading. Yeah,
Jerry Noville really having a, he was one of the front runners, I might say so.
Yes.
By really having
and he
a
has
tough
the pace.
rally. Yes.
He has the pace. I think he's had some fastest times.
Yeah, on the opening day at the super special stage, yes. But it's been really tough for them. The mud and as well as the fresh has really turned them up. They had to relook at their strategy in the safari.
It's actually a lot of cars have crashed this year. The Ugandan driver Yasin had quite a bad crash. The car's quite badly damaged. Our own handicapped driver is just amazing. Yes. Nikhil is just amazing. He is beating able-bodied drivers in most of the rallies that he does. He had a bad crash, but fortunately they're both fine. The driver, navigator are all well. So they will continue fighting, I'm sure. They will be back in action.
And of course, the Tosif Khan and Karan Patel, they were really, they've
had problems as well. Otherwise, I expect they would be closer to Tundo, if not ahead. But it's good that they're hanging in there and they're in the top 20. So we are happy with their performance and tenacity.
Yeah, and of course a number of Kenyan drivers also just using this to get points in the KNRC, which is the second round of the season.
It's very important for us locally, that part of it, that we still remain connected to the safari, because the safari is really like a foreign event. Foreigners come here and they have their competition and go away. So if we can be part of it, it will help uplift our national motorsport to international level.
Yes, indeed. And maybe Yasin being the only one from outside, being from the region, yes.
But he's competing as a, I think we've joined the East African community now, so the drivers can represent each other. So he was running actually in the Kenyan championship in the safari.
Yes.
He was being counted as one of the Kenyans.
Yes, indeed. And he also did announce that he'll be doing all the KNRC rounds, and who knows, he could be
a Kenya champion.
A Kenya champion.
This year.
He could be a Kenyan champion. He did finish third in Eldoret, yes.
I've been proposing for the last couple of years that we need an East African Championship. You know, let's say two events here, 2 events in Uganda, 2 events in Tanzania. Rwanda also is very keen. Burundi, we could have events like that, which is maybe 7 or 8 events, which count to an East African Championship. And now it will mean then that drivers will now start crossing, more drivers from one country to the another country to participate for that championship. And that could boost in the region, not just in Kenya.
Yes, indeed, and it will put the East African drivers on the world map, so to say.
Those are the sort of things we need to look at to promote our own motorsport in this region. We should not just sit back and wait for the next safari. We have to start today. When the safari finishes, we should be focusing on, can we do this, can we do that, can we build our own cars, can we have budget cars, can we have more circuits in the counties, and so on, so on. With a lot of motorsport activity, can we train more officials to run those events? Can we have more people scrutineering and making sure the locally made vehicles are safe, and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, indeed. We're speaking to Anwar, a veteran rally driver, still in the world of motorsports, bringing up, molding future stars under Anwar Motorsports Academy. Let's now link up with the news feed from the WRC. This is KBC Channel 1, of course, Safari Rally ongoing until late in the evening when we know who will be the champion.
Short right over soup and left block.